the project of the script, my connection to his music was basically non-existent. I had a friend of my dad's who was one of these Dylan-obsessed fans who, when I would go to his house growing up, had one of his early Jack Kramer black and white portraits on the wall, so I was familiar with the face of Bob Dylan and sort of the striking image. But then when they approached me with the project, even beyond the music, the initial press conferences I was watching, in 1965 in San Francisco, and at a time when my career was emerging and having to do press and media for the first time and being very obedient about it and seeing how he would do it, I was like, wow, I've never seen anything like this. It was very inspiring, and then dove into his music from there, and like I'm sure many people here, it's the gift that keeps on giving. To this day, I discover new music because this is a small chapter of his life, what we see in this movie, and he had many, many different eras and expressions that continue to be rewarding in my own life.
I'm given to understand that you worked with a dialect coach, you worked with a movement coach, you worked with a guy who helped you with the harmonica and the guitar parts, you worked with a singing coach. I'm curious, as you were singing these songs, which you sang live on set, my bowels are loosening just saying that sentence. That seems so fucking terrifying to me. Doesn't sing with him, but I would argue she's the reason he goes from singing something like I Shall Be Free, which is what ends Freewheeling, and he's talking about sleeping with Liz Taylor and pissing off Richard Burton, to I Shall Be Released, in which suddenly he's like developed this incredible political consciousness and can kind of like level up a little bit. But for so often she's been like a footnote in his story. And I think one of the things I really like about her prominence in the film and the performance is that you get a real sense that she was her own person. She had a totally full life before she met him, and she had a totally full life after she met him.
Completely. And also she encouraged him to sing his own songs. He was singing all these folk songs. She's like, sing more of your music. It's really good. Like, you need to be doing that, and put him on that path. But yeah, I mean, completely, she's a full person. Yeah.
I actually spoke to her during shooting, which was a little bit of mental chaos. Very intimidating. But I kept having dreams about her. I had been obsessing over her for as long as I'd been cast, which at that point was like 8 months or something. And my math is wrong.
It was a long time.
It was a long time. I wish it had been longer, but it was a long time. And I had like poured over her multiple memoirs and documentaries and just had been obsessed with her music. Actually, since I'd been obsessed with her music since I had first auditioned, which was in 2020. So I just was so familiar with her voice and just really had gone on a whole like love affair journey. And while we were filming, I just kept having dreams about her. And I asked to be connected to her just so I could like ask her a few questions. Like it just felt like this one final thing that I had to.
There have been movies made about Johnny Cash before. I don't know if everybody on the stage is aware of that.
Like what?
Yeah.
What are they?
I was going to make a walk hard joke, but yeah.
I'd known about the script, and I'd kind of eyeing some characters and talked to Jim about it, and then Indiana came up, and then like Johnny came around, and it was a total surprise. And I didn't know that they were pen pals, and just the fact that he had reached out to Bob in admiration of his writing and his brilliance of his lyrics. So for me, it was, I think I had like maybe a month and a half, and then the strike happened, got a couple extra 3 months or something like that. But I just rehearse with really good people. Same thing. I've got, guitar coach, dialect coach, singing coach, movement person to hollow out your body, to get that sound. And Jim's already made a movie about it, so that whole story is like wrapped up. But I think the part that Johnny's like really playing is kind of like the other devil on Bob's shoulder, is like to keep your voice in life is really difficult, because there's a lot of people out there who try to, like, you know, suppress that or change it for commercial value or whatever it is. And I think what you're talking about with that middle finger is, like, he's a rascal. Like, there's, and he is, you can tell in his, you know, getting to know him as quickly as I could, as fast as I could, just to get his sense of humor. And I mean, that's really what I latched on.
I mean, the thing that comes to mind right now is what Jim was saying in an interview we did earlier, which is when he sat down with Bob to go over the script, that he wasn't dogmatic about what happened in this period, that though it's been dissected by so many people in so many books, that there's a book called Not Another Book About Bob Dylan, that, you know, that to the man himself who went through it, he's not dogmatic about it. And I think there's something really poignant about that, and very true to Bob, very interpretive and creative, and more about the cracks in spaces more than what's actually going on. And it's, you know, a light forward for all of us.
I'm just, you know, I always liked his music, but the act of making the movie, watching Timmy go through this journey, but also just investigating, reading these songs, listening to these songs, writing, you really, it's breathtaking what came out of him in that period of time. And it's monumental and kind of hard to believe, even for Bob. Is hard to believe how the songs were coming out of him at that period. But the kind of like what Timmy's saying, part of what I got from meeting him, and part of what I got, you know, it's this weird kind of research you do the reading, you do everything, you meet the guy, you read, you listen, and then you do this other thing that no one else does when they're writing a book about him, which is you act it out. We built his apartment, you make discoveries about these people's lives just by inhabiting them, you know, and suddenly going, wait, so out his window he would see, or da-da-da-da-da, and you start to make these millions of little connections. But the one big one that I felt so profoundly was just how, I don't know that he wanted everything that came. He loved writing music and still does. I'm not sure that what came with it was what he wanted. And I think sometimes we as fans and as audience assume, hey man, if you're talented enough to write awesome songs and sing to me, then you owe me your life and knowing about every fucking move you make. And that, like, no, like actually someone going, no, actually no, you can enjoy my music, and when that album ends and goes click, 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 that's my gift. And that's where my gift ends. And that can be not mysterious and mystique-y and accredited, all this kind of other stuff. It could actually be really something you can feel empathic about. Like he's trying to stay focused on what he loves to do, which isn't necessarily serving celebrity.